Oh, probably couldn't hear me.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the webinar today. We're so glad that you decided to take a few minutes and join us. We'll get started here, but please go ahead and share in the chat, which is located at the bottom right of your screen, where you're joining us from today, what organization you're with, and if there's anything else that you're passionate about, whether work related or unwork related, go ahead and share that too. We always love seeing those.
Oh, I
Um,
love that. Unwork related.
I do too. Yeah, I do too. I've been reading a lot lately, so I feel like my Kindle is full of books. So that's what I'm kind of passionate about right now. But yeah, so I'm Levon Simpson. I'm the marketing director here at Boardable. Like I said, thank you so much for joining us. We are really excited about this session. I feel like if you're here, you are maybe kind of struggling and dealing with some really sticky financial pressures right now. So we've pulled in an expert to hopefully leave us with some practical insight and guidance here to help us feel a little bit better. But a couple of housekeeping things really quickly. One, this will be recorded. So if you have to hop off or you want to share this with someone or just reference back to it, I know I need to do that every once in a while. It will be recorded. We will send that out in an email right after the event ends. And then just look out at your inbox. And if you keep an eye on that in the next couple of days, we'll send some additional resources your way directly from Pamela after she shares her knowledge with us today. So that's all I have. If you have questions throughout, please feel free to share those in the chat or in the questions tab that's directly next to that. And we'll be sure to try and get to those at the end. If we don't, just rest assured, we will try and follow up afterwards with all of those so we make sure that we get to you as well. Otherwise, I will pass it over to Pamela to introduce
Oh,
herself
super.
and get us started.
Well, hi there. Hi there. Hi, Latifa. I see in the chat we've got a Latifa from the Hand to Paw Foundation in Philly. And I am right around the corner, Latifa. Hi, Lucinda. Hi, David. Hi, Polly. Hi, Kendrick. Wow. Wow. St. Augustine, Florida. Yeah. Definitely, I will check it out. Homeless Coalition of St. Johns County and St. Augustine, Florida. That's so cool. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pull my presentation up and let me see. What's your biggest fear right now when it comes to fundraising? Go ahead and type it in the chat while I am pulling up my presentation and sharing it. Let's see. Enable screen sharing. Is that the way I do it? Yes. There you go. Can you see that?
It's thinking about it. There we go.
Super, super. Well, welcome to today's session with Boardable Navigating Nonprofit Budget Cuts, How to Protect Your Mission When Money Gets Tight. I'm your host, Pamela Grow. I've been in this field for quite a while now. I would say technically since the 90s. So I have worked with thousands of nonprofits all around the world. And I've also written a little book called Simple Development Systems, Successful Fundraising for the One-Person Shop. We have taught over 10,000 nonprofits from around the world. And I don't know if I ever told you this, Levon. Do you know what my biggest moment was when I really geeked out?
I can't wait to hear.
I actually sold two classes to Harry and Meghan's charity before they left the royal family.
Oh, very interesting. Okay.
I was so psyched. But I do know the power of fundraising systems and individual giving to totally transform your nonprofit. And I came to that kind of late because I actually started on the other side of the table working for a foundation funder back in the 90s. And also that I believe really strongly in you and your good work. Oh, I always like to introduce a little personal things about myself too. And if you'd like to share something, just put it in the chat. Right now, I am coming to you from Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, the mushroom capital of the world. It's about 45 minutes outside of Philadelphia. What else? Oh, I love to bake. And I love reading too. We need to talk, Levon. This is my very first chocolate babka, which was a 2-day process. I'm also a mom to two beautiful girls. This is my youngest, Abigail. She is a lawyer in Philadelphia. That's her husband, Chris. My other daughter is represented by this pizza truck, Burrito Feliz. And if you're looking for the best birria in Philadelphia, that's it. This is my grandpuppy, Wally. I didn't mention that when my daughter married Chris, he came with a pit bull, and so Wally came with me. And this is my brand new grandson. Well, he's getting close to a year old now, Jack. And this is what I am hearing every day out there. Simply this, I don't think I can keep doing this. I talked to someone last week who said our organization just went from 25 employees to 10. Another lost a $120,000 grant this year, and their entire budget is under 500,000. There are so many federal and state budget cuts. Now I saw this come out a couple days ago that Fidelity and Vanguard won't allow donations to Southern Poverty Law Center. And these just are not isolated stories. And the organizations that are hit the hardest are the ones who are already running lean. But know that you're not alone and you're definitely not powerless. But this is the thing I see over and over again. And I saw this back in the 90s. I saw it in 2008 when we had the recession. The first thing a nonprofit does is to cut their fundraising staff. It feels like the logical move. Don't ask me why, but fundraising looks like overhead, and the board doesn't fully understand what a development director does. And when you need to cut costs really fast, it's an easy call, but it is exactly the wrong call. Cutting your fundraising staff when donations are down is like cutting your sales team when sales are slow. And what you've effectively done is to guarantee that the problem gets even worse. When you cut your fundraising staff, here's what happens. Donor relationships go cold because nobody is making those calls, nobody's sending the notes, nobody's stewarding the people who already believe in you. Your monthly giving program stalls. No one's recruiting new monthly donors or upgrading. The stable income stream quietly stops growing. And that major donor pipeline dries up. The donor who was 6 months from a conversation never gets that conversation. And when the crisis passes, and it will, you're starting from ground zero. The organizations that protect their fundraising infrastructure during downturns come out stronger every single time. And there is a way through, and it starts with growing your individual donors. In today's presentation, we're going to be talking about your board's role right now and why it's never mattered more. The mindset shift that changes everything. Building a reliable individual donor income stream. And by that, I'm talking about not just one year-end appeal a year, but having money come in from your individual donors throughout the year, almost like clockwork. Your story, which is the most powerful fundraising tool you have, and major donors, the strategy that can change everything. Now, I know that several of my clients that I'm working with, they have seen a decline in regular giving, but their major donors have more than stepped up to the plate and covered it. And then, of course, monthly giving, which is pretty much recession proof. And I'm thrilled to see that it's really growing. And if you stay with us till the end, we have a couple of free bonuses that I think you'll really get a kick out of and you'll actually be able to use. So thank you. Thank you for being here today. I really, really appreciate it. And I can't wait to get to know you better and learn more about what's going on with your fundraising. I'm going to quickly, let me see, come back here and see if we had any. Yeah, funding the arts has taken a critical hit. Raising operational funds, yes. It's interesting you mentioned that because general operating funds, because when I started working at a family grant making foundation, they were just in the process of developing their grant application guidelines. And I remember thinking that was one of the first things they did not give to general operating support. And I remember thinking, why? It makes sense if you like a mission that you're going to give to general operating support because the nonprofit knows how to best spend that money. But they were with one of those local foundation groups, and that was just the general thinking back then. They do give general operating support now. I will go back here and I'll step away periodically to just look and see what the comments are. And if you've got any questions, throw them in there too. Let me see. So the first pillar is that your board's role has never mattered more because a nonprofit board has 10 basic responsibilities to determine the mission and purpose, right? To hire the executive director, to provide financial oversight, to ensure adequate resources, to ensure legal and ethical integrity, to plan for the future, to recruit and orient new board members, to enhance the nonprofit's public image, to determine and strengthen programs, and to support the ED's performance. When staff and board work together, fundraising magic really happens. Staff is responsible for day to day fundraising. They create the strategy and plan. They write and send proposals and appeals. They cultivate donors and prospects. They write thank you letters. They plan events and open houses. The board should be setting goals and the budget with staff, and they support strategy and champion it. And that's a really important point to keep in mind because I've always felt that as a staff member, you should be guiding your board in fundraising and not letting them micromanage you. They should be championing what you do because you are the expert. They help sign appeals and shares on social, and they help cultivate donors they know. They make thank you calls and handwritten notes. That's one of the most important things they can do. And they bring guests to events and filling tables. Who here does not have 100% board giving? I did a survey a few years back, and about 50%, 55% of the nonprofits reported that they did not have 100% board giving. And I get a lot of flack on this, but how can you ask others to give if your own board doesn't? Every funder, major donor, and prospect is watching. I know that a lot of foundation funders, that's part of their guideline that they want to see 100% board participation. And I don't believe it needs to be a set amount, but a gift that's personally meaningful. Every board member, every year. Start monthly. Board members who give $1,000 annually are often thrilled to give $85 a month, and that's a little bit more than the $1,000. And it's just easier for them to say, yes, I always love to start monthly giving programs with the board and celebrate it. When you hit 100% giving, have a pizza party with champagne toast. Always, always, always celebrate what you want to see more of. And pillar number two, your mindset is the first thing to fix. How many of you have heard this from your board members? I'll do anything, just don't ask me to fundraise. And they'll tell you, well, I don't know any rich people. But you don't need to. You just need people who care and they're already in your network. And I'm sure you've heard every one of these. I don't want to hit up my friends. And that's one of my pet peeves. You're never hitting people up, you're never begging for dollars. You are giving a rare and precious opportunity to really do something that matters. And right now, what could be better? It's not my job. We have staff to do that. But the board member's job is to ensure that resources exist. That is the job. People won't give in this economy. Individual giving has grown in every recession in modern history, and people give when they believe. This one I hear a lot. Our mission isn't sexy enough, but every single mission has a story. And I've seen this individual giving system work with every kind of nonprofit, even the wonkiest nonprofit. I worked one time with an election, changing how elections operate, an organization that does that. And it was such a wonky cause to put across, but their donors loved them. Their donors love them. So the language that board members use tells you everything, right? Our cause isn't sexy. Well, let's get out there. Let's tell our story. No one wants to give to us. But everyone who hears your mission, you've seen this before, everyone who hears a certain story that resonates with them, people won't give in this economy. We shouldn't have trouble if we stick to the plan. I'm just one person, it won't matter. But everyone's activities affect what's going on. If you are a board member attending today, always reflect back on why you said yes when someone asked you to serve on the board. What drew you in? What moved you? And give your board members 2 minutes to write it down and then ask them to share with the person next to them. Reconnecting board members to your mission is the absolute fastest way to unlock their energy for fundraising. Your culture is super important too. Super, super important. What's a sign? What are signs that you have it and signs that you don't? Well, everyone can articulate a case for giving. I'm not talking really about an elevator speech, but really maybe it's your own personal story. But remember that fundraising is one person's job. Oh, I'm sorry. This is if you don't have a culture of philanthropy, and if you're someone who has been in the sector for quite a while, like when I started out, I cannot tell you how many times before I kind of got wise to ask the right questions before I took a new job. I would get on board and find out that I was maybe the fifth development director in 3 years, right? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work well. 100% of your board members contribute financially. Board members balk at that and say, I give my time. The ED sees herself as the face of the organization. Well, maybe you've never surveyed your donors and you don't really know why your donors give. Donor visits are welcomed. Your fundraising is constantly in nickel and dime crisis mode. Everyone represents the mission. I can't see because I've got this. Hold on. There we go. Now I don't know what happened. Can you see my slides? I can't tell.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay, good. I couldn't read because of that one. Oh, I love that. Polly says our board is responsible to raise 2,500, either personally or from others. That's awesome. So now we're going to get into individual donors and growing your individual donors because it really is your most stable funding source right now. I'm such a geek for this stuff. This is from Giving USA from last year, and it hasn't really changed much in the last 10 years, I've really been studying it, that giving by individuals really comes out to really 74% of all charitable giving here in the US. And I think whoever does this over in the UK, they've got pretty much the same results. So you've got 19% giving by foundations, 7% by corporations, which is a slight uptick because it used to be for years it was steady at around 5%. But individuals gave more because it's really comes out to 74% when you factor in bequests. This is where your fundraising energy belongs. Now, if anybody's been on a presentation of mine before, I tell this story in almost every single presentation, but I use it to illustrate something. We're going to walk through a short story. And this is one donor's story. Meet Amy. Amy's a 50-something lady. She loves her dog, Max. She loves watching Great British Bake Off Euphoria. And her secret guilty pleasure, Hallmark Christmas movies. She loves traveling with her niece. She loves theater. She loves music. She loves cooking and entertaining. She's a college professor, a single woman here in Pennsylvania. And she loves to read. She is also a donor. She's a regular donor to probably about 15 or 20 local organizations in her community. She's also a monthly donor. She gives monthly to about 6 to 8 charities. Some of them are local, some are national. She is a major donor. She has given $10,000 gifts to her university and to a local theater. And they don't know it, but the local animal shelter where she adopted Max will be the recipient of a $75,000 legacy gift when Amy passes away. So, just for the sake of our conversation here today, I'm going to say that Amy's girlfriend dragged her to your event last week. She liked what she saw. So, the next morning when she was having her coffee, she went online and she made a gift. And she got a receipt. And then came utter silence. Months passed, a little over a year. Amy took a vacation in Peru. She helped plan her niece's wedding. She took a French pastry making class. She made a $10,000 gift to a local arts organization. And then one unusually cold and snowy December day, your year-end appeal landed in her mailbox. Amy was kind of at a loss. She'd actually kind of forgotten all about that gift she made over a year ago. I have to tell you guys that, so it's kind of funny because I've given this presentation for a while now, and I started to think, am I laying it on a little thickly with Amy? And then the exact same thing happened to me recently. I got a letter in the mail. I opened it up. I didn't recognize the address. It was actually clearly a letter that was written by AI. I didn't know if it was an acquisition letter. I didn't know what the deal was. And then I was talking to a colleague of mine and I mentioned it, and she said, Pam, don't you remember that's the organization I told you to donate to because I was impressed with their processes? And I had donated, and I'd been very impressed with their initial processes, their thank you and everything. And I think they gave me a call. It was really lovely. But then I hadn't heard from them and had forgotten all about them. So no, I don't think I'm laying it on thick. But the point of this little story is that Amy is one of hundreds, if not thousands, of donors who would just love to be involved in your mission, who would love to partner with you. All you have to do is make it ridiculously easy to give to your organization and then nurture that relationship. And here's where we get caught up. is the nurturing part. Individual giving can be your foundation through all this that we're going through right now. And in a crisis, it is your lifeline. It is your absolute lifeline. And all it is a very simple model: ask, thank, report, repeat. Reach out, tell your story, invite people in, thank quickly, make it warm, make it personal. If you can make that phone call, if you can have a board member or you yourself can write a handwritten thank you note, but make them feel it and then report back. What did their gift accomplish? And then you just repeat it throughout the year. The ask can be something as simple as a direct mail appeal, along with an email appeal, a thank you letter, and not just any thank you letter, because your donor thank you is one of your very best tools for building a relationship with your donor, and you really want to take advantage of it. This is a great study from a few years back, at Philanthropy Center, and they did this analysis. And keep in mind, this is actually a second thank you. This is not just a regular thank you letter. The donor already got a thank you. This is a second thank you letter a few weeks before another ask was coming. Those who received the thank you gave on average $45.32 more than those who didn't receive the thank you. And this is a system. You just rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And why are your ask, thank, report, repeat systems more important now than at any other time in history? Why do you think? Just curious. Why do you think? Because of the whole trust factor. We're losing trust in everything, and nonprofits are not alone. And the best thing to deal with a loss of trust is through consistency, consistency, consistency. So your donor communications need a real rhythm. And we're not talking about, one or two appeals a year. We're talking about 2 to 8 per year, and everyone tells a story. A print newsletter. How many of you have a print newsletter? Because the print newsletter is absolutely your donor retention engine. It is amazing what you can do with a print newsletter. We have sent out some print newsletters that raised even more than appeals. I had one I did recently for a client that brought in a $10,000 gift from a donor whose previous highest gift was 5,000. Your thank you letters, your impact reports, and those personal touches throughout the year. So, what does that look like exactly? One sec, I just want to grab a little water. These are a couple of schedules I put together for clients. This particular client does 5 multi-channel campaigns a year. That's email and direct mail. They do a 4 times a year donor print newsletter, and they also do 5 monthly giving asks. They do 1 through direct mail and 4 through email, and then they do a monthly email newsletter. And this one does 3 direct mail and email asks a year, 3 print newsletters, and 3 monthly giving asks, along with, if an email newsletter is part of your routine there, it's best to do it at least monthly. And the best habit you can cultivate starting today is the thank you call. It's one of your best fundraising tools. It's not a solicitation, not a newsletter. It's just a phone call from a board member or from you that says, I just wanted to thank you for your gift. It matters. And this is something that I've seen a lot with, particularly with smaller nonprofits, that they are cutting out direct mail completely. And you have to remember that direct mail is still your secret weapon. And I think it's particularly vital for smaller community based nonprofits right now, because you have to remember who your best donors are. And your best donors are really people who were born before 1960. They grew up with mail. But there's also been a lot of research lately that millennials really love mail and younger people really love mail. And the other thing, this is really cool. And I don't know if a single fundraiser who hasn't been around the block a few times, is not a little bit older, who hasn't received, believe it or not, a check. Donors still write checks, but code in an envelope coded from, as much as I had one student get a gift from an envelope from 30 years ago. Mail sits on the counter, it is sticky. It is sticky, and you want to be sticky, right? Especially right now. I love this quote from Chip Heath, Made to Stick: Why Some Ideas Take Hold and Others Come Unstuck. It's hard to make ideas stick in a noisy, unpredictable, chaotic environment. What are we living through right now? If we're to succeed, the first step is this: be simple, 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 simple. You would be surprised at how easy the system is to work. Pillar number 4, your board members are already storytellers. You don't need to ask for money, just need to tell your story. I remember this is maybe my second fundraising job, and I met individually with all of our board members. And one of our board members told me this story about her daughter that just made me tear up. But then I cry at Hallmark movies, so just she'd been a mess, and lots of drugs, lots of destruction, self-destruction, lots of therapy. And then her daughter joined this teaching program that I was working for. And working with those kids gave her life meaning. She became a teacher and she thrived. And until that point, all we had shared was statistics, because from we had them. We had great statistics. But statistics don't move people like stories do. Stories really change behavior. So do you feel like you are telling your story as well as you could be? Think about your day today. Maybe you woke up and you told somebody about a dream you had. Maybe you shared what happened at yesterday's meeting. Maybe at lunch you mentioned something your kid said or your dog did. All the communication in our daily lives is storytelling. And this is why I'm not a thing about I don't care for those polished elevator pitches. And you don't need training in how to ask. What board members really need is to know how to tell their own authentic story. Why they said yes, what they've witnessed, what they believe in. Your story is your absolute most powerful fundraising tool. But most nonprofits overcomplicate their stories. And that's why this is absolutely one of my favorite exercises for getting to the heart of your story. It's called Word Stories. Ernest Hemingway is said to have written the most famous six-word story: For sale, baby shoes, never worn. Kind of says it all, doesn't it? So we do have a 6-word storytelling exercise included in today's training for you to use with your boards. And ask every board member to write a 6-word story about your mission. Doesn't have to be anything complex. I love this: empty shelter, full hearts. This is from some of our students. Repeat tomorrow. She left, she's safe, she thrives. That was from a that was actually from a child trafficking organization. And remember too that asking is only one small part of fundraising. Board members can do these things without making a direct ask. Invite the ED to speak at their civic club or community group. Introduce the ED to people in their network. Host a small dinner party, 5 to 20 people to share your mission. This has always been one of my favorites. Kind of as an introvert, I love this one, which I actually first learned about. Does anybody remember the Benavon method, which I don't think is around anymore? It was a method that kind of, what you did was you had several of these small dinner parties throughout the year, and they would all culminate in a big ask event. And I learned a lot of great things from that, including this. One of the best things your board members can do is to make thank you calls to donors after gifts arrive, to write handwritten notes on appeal letters before they go out, and to give personally at a level that's meaningful for them. Now, I'm guessing if you're here today, I could be wrong, but I'm thinking that the nonprofits who are here today do not have major gift officers. Maybe it's one person doing all the fundraising. Maybe it's the ED doing the fundraising. Oops. You know what major gifts are not? Well, it would be really, really, really wonderful if Mackenzie Scott happened upon your website and made you a nice gift. It's highly unlikely. And the funny thing is that in studies year after year after year, most of your major donors, and I'm not talking about foundations, I'm talking about the individuals who are making major gifts to your mission, started with a $25 gift. Your major donors are people who already love you. They're people who've given to you more than once. They open your emails and they read your newsletters. They volunteered or their family has benefited from your work. They've given small gifts consistently for years. They care deeply about your mission. You can see it when they talk about it. So you start with what you already have here. Just pull your top 25 donors by cumulative giving, not by a single gift size, but by total lifetime giving. Some of your most committed donors are hiding in plain sight. Look for consistent givers, 5+ years. A donor who gives $100 every year for 10 years has given $1,000, and they've shown you extraordinary loyalty. And of course, depending on what system you're on too, you can do some wealth screening, but ask board members, who do you know? Send each board member your top prospect list and ask them to know who they might have a personal connection with, and start a simple tracking system. Even just a Google spreadsheet is fine. And then put together a major donor impact report. It is a personal document, and I just started last year doing these with some of my clients that have been prepared for just a specific donor that shows exactly what their investment did. A story of impact written in plain language addressed directly to them. And then you're going to either have a board member deliver it in person One or two times we did it, we FedExed it. No ask, just relationship building, and you might close with, "We would love to have you come by and see what your gift has accomplished." And this is an example of an impact report that I did for a client. And then the board member's role in major gifts is really simple. The board member opens the door. I'd love for you to meet our ED. Let me set that up. Staff tells the story, the board member shares their own, and the donor feels seen and connected. And when the time is right, nobody has to hit somebody up. It's a natural next step. I always actually I don't get those. I never have understood those, how to ask webinars and classes, because to me it just kind of grows naturally from your process. And what it looks like, in practice is that you introduce your print newsletter, you've got a brand new revenue stream. When you work this kind of system, this kind of model, you really will be amazed. And our last pillar is monthly giving. And I'm going to take a quick, I'm coming back. Who has a monthly giving program? Go ahead and type in chat. Yay, Yvette. Yay, Abby. My daughter's name is Abby. Excellent, excellent. Super. Excellent, excellent. Well, I am just a huge fan of monthly giving, which of course has been a monthly giving has played a huge role in individual giving in the UK for decades. And I'm so thrilled that it's really growing and it really has really taken off. And I think part of it is the tech, but it could be even more. It could be even more. And the numbers really make the case. You've got average monthly donor retention at 90%. 90% when the average, I think that's actually an old stat. I think it's a little lower now, right around 42% is the average donor retention rate. The average annual value is $288, and that's considering, a $24 a month gift. And I love this because everybody is always asking, we need or saying we need younger donors. You don't really right now, but it's good to know that 60% of donors under 35 do give monthly. And I always say to start, if you're introducing it, to start with your board members. But the thing is that you really need to be very consistent and you need to be really focused on it. It can't be an afterthought. You want to, I can go back to those two schedules of communications that we had, but you want to ask several times a year. And this is just ideas for launching. Board chair makes the ask, not staff. The board chair reaches out to every board member, peer to peer. Offer the monthly option at every touch point. Your next appeal letter, your donate page, your thank you calls, mention it every single time. Make it easy, make it the obvious choice. I had one client, they did a newsletter every month. All they did was add a give monthly button at the bottom of the newsletter, and that's how they grew it. Name your program and celebrate every monthly donor. Send a special kind of welcome. Work on upgrading them every time. I don't want to sound like over markety, but I do have a lot on my site about monthly giving. And if you just type monthly giving in the search, you'll see all kinds of great examples from. I always love it if you can get your monthly supporters in via EFT rather than a credit card because you're going to have a lot less drop offs. There's all kinds of stuff on my site about monthly giving. And these are just some of the results from we did it. We've had a monthly giving class now for years. So I think I'm right on time. Am I right? Yes, 1:46. So we have time for Q&A. But don't forget
Absolutely.
to did we put these up here, Lavon, the board fundraising menu and the six word storytelling exercise?
I haven't yet. No, I have shared your website with everyone though, and those will be the resources that we share in the follow-up email as well. So be on the lookout for
Thanks.
that. Yeah.
And don't forget to download the fundraising calendar. The fundamentals work every single time. And I'm sorry if you came here expecting to hear something all new and bright and shiny and maybe something about AI because you're not going to get it from me because we know what works and the fundamentals work when you really stick to them. These are just a couple of the examples. We have one student whose newsletter, just the newsletter brings in 2 million a year. So here are 3 things this week you can do right now is to just call 3 donors and say thank you. Identify 5 people in your network who care about your mission and download the board fundraising menu and bring it to your next board meeting. So today we covered your board's role has never mattered more. Your mindset is the first thing to fix. Individual donors, storytelling, major donors, and monthly giving.
All right. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing. I know that people, um, we did have one question as we were kind of going through, Pamela. Holly was asking, so they started doing some of these things in their organization this year. Do you have any idea of how long it can take for some of those to see results?
That is such a great question. You know, I this one person I had on here, I think it was Jody Joy. She took an organization that was doing, gosh, like 11 or 12 events a year. Can you imagine? But that's how they were fundraising when she came on board. And over a period, I'm going to say about 4 to 5 years, she got them on this ask, thank, report, repeat system. And it took a while. I think they still had maybe two events that first year. Now they do 3 donor newsletters, 3 fundraising appeals, and a monthly giving ask. And last year we introduced the legacy giving program. You should see results fairly quickly, but it's going to take a while before you really see the big results. You have to be consistent with it.
Yeah, I think that's a good call out. And it's just so interesting as you know, we know right now is obviously chaotic, but I do think it's important to kind of revisit those basics and just remember some of the things that have just continuously worked across all kinds of eras, if you will. So it looks
Mhm.
like we might have a couple of people typing in. So we'll give it a couple more minutes here to see if any questions come in. But otherwise, if anyone wants to share something in the chat that they're either taking away to do right now or add, or something that they're potentially doing that's working that might be helpful for other organizations to consider.
So you've had experience. David says, thank you. The basics work. They do. They do. That's That's a great question. Yvette says, what are some suggestions on how do you transition board donors' connections to the organization? I find they often leave when the board member rolls off. Um, you really want to think about how you're developing that relationship with the donor. Do they feel appreciated? Do they feel like their gift is making a difference? Or is it just, is it just that they're giving because of their friend, that it's almost transactional? I know I worked at one organization. We had a new ED, and one of the first things she did was she got all her friends to make $1,000 gifts. Well, when she was fired by the board, 2 years later, all those gifts were gone. So you have to develop that relationship. You really have to cultivate it. It's possible you won't be able to. And go back and let's see what else. I do have a new program called the Lifeline. It's that Lifeline Basics and More Fundraising. And this covers everything we talked about today, including legacy giving.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate everything that you've shared today. To answer Pamela's question, yes, we will be getting a copy of the presentation. I'll be sending that out in that follow-up email with some additional resources as well, so be on the lookout for that. But otherwise, if you have other questions, please feel free to connect with Pamela on LinkedIn or visit her website that we shared. We encourage you to reach out with specific questions around campaigns or anything like that. I know she'd love to share additional insights with you. So thank you everyone for joining today, and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. You too. Have a great weekend, everybody.